This local marketing update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter at ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/Scott P. Gallagher.
Hey, well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source. Next week's LMS member call is going to be May 6th at 4 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget to subscribe to our weekly podcast on iTunes and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Got an interesting week this week. We just finished an excellent public webinar, LMS Public Webinar. We do quite a bit of content inside of our portal. But I think this is the first time that we've brought this valuable of content to the public, and it was great. So we had a couple hundred people on the line, and it was an interview with a very successful Local Marketing Source student by the name of Josh Nelson. I guess I got some of my work cut out to get that video up and live, and we're going to share it. It is going to be available on our YouTube channel, and it was designed for and put together for people that are starting out their local internet marketing agency. And you see, Josh, he started with my program 3 years ago and left his job and is now running a very successful internet marketing agency. He's got 20 employees, and he's on target to bill $2 million in the year 2014. Over the next 12 months, he's on target to do 2.5 million. And so he's just killed it. And we talked about the three different, well, we talked quite a bit for 90 minutes, but we identified the three top lead acquisition strategies that he's put together. And I've shared my 2 cents into that as well. And so I highly advise you to get in there for LMS students. We've also recorded all of the questions that came at the end of it. Those will not be available to the public, but it's there's definitely a very, very good piece of material to listen to. Now, this week we're going to be talking about a couple of different things. First off, announced today, Google's made some additional changes to their bulk upgrade and Google Plus capabilities. I was just talking with one of my colleagues today and about how it's amazing. It's 2014, and these engineers at Google still have not cracked this small and medium business nut. It's there's still a lot of work to go, and even the announcement of some of the changes today, you would have thought they would have been around 3-4 years ago, but that's not the case. As well as another change in Google reviews of how they're highlighting certain snippet of information. And I'm excited to talk about this piece because it's a confirmation that in order to survive, in order for a small business to survive on the internet, they have to be a good business. It's as simple as that. So you're going to learn about why and what Google has made changes in their snippets of reviews. That's going to demonstrate that. And now, speaking of reviews and how important reviews are, they're testimonials. And the question becomes, well, what do I do if I've got a good review on Google or Yelp or somewhere else on the internet? Can I use that review in other marketing channels, whether it's an email autoresponder or on your website or in printed material? So Google's chimed in with some discussions about that, and I'll talk about that. And then finally, there's a funny little video that I'm going to talk about with Matt Cutts that's in regards to content. And I say funny because he had a little, well, you'll have to see the video. Maybe I'll pull it up and show everyone. But in any event, let's get started into some of this content. I just had to check for some reason. I thought I was not recording this call, but my absent mind, I am. So some changes to the upgrade of Google. Now within your Google Plus and your Google Place's ownership of certain accounts and pages, Google has enabled the ability for multiple administrators. Now, I've got a marketing agency and we manage our customers' accounts. Well, we've never been able to gain access to those accounts unless we had access to the main account. In other words, the username and password of the client. And I'm a firm believer in marketing, and all material that we create, all marketing material that we create, we don't own. We don't cannibalize it against our customer. And if our customer ever leaves us, they have full ownership of everything. We have an exit interview where we supply them with a document that has the username and password to every aspect and every piece of material that they have out there. It should not be confusing for them. It should not be confusing for my people inside either, even though it is. But we have to go to great lengths to organizing that information and making accessibility easy. So now your customers can give you access to a lot of this information. So the multi-admin, finally, but again, it just kind of amazes me that in 2014 that has not been discussed or changed or improved. All right, Google's also made another change where with their Google reviews, whether they're third-party reviews or reviews specifically on Google, is they're highlighting certain keywords. So there's a review that I found for a hotel in Chicago, and the review was terrible. The bathroom and shower came with free pubic hair. Now, Google bolded the pubic hair portion of it. And what's interesting is when you start to see a lot of these reviews, you're seeing little snippets out of each review that's in bold. Well, it kind of reminded me of writing and reading a sales letter. And if you've ever tried your hand at copywriting on a sales letter or ever gotten education on sales letters, you've got to create the sales letter to work with a variety of different types of readers. Whether it's you've got your title of the sales letter in big and bold and colorful and it reads like a long story, and they say that no sales letter is too long as you're answering all the objections. We utilize underlining and bold and italicized and H1s and H2, different header tags and different sizes. And for me, for example, when I read a sales letter, I'll skim. I'm a skimmer. And I'll read just the headlines. And if there's a headline I read that I don't fully understand or need to know more information about, then I'll read the body of that content underneath the headline. Whereas other groups of readers, they'll sit down with their tablet and read everything word for word, sometimes multiple times. Others, they don't read anything except for the title. Did you know, for example, when you write an email, the one section of an email that is read the most is the PS section. So if you notice, every email that I send out, it's got the same call to action, utilizing just a different spin in the PS section. Well, I believe that's what Google is doing when it comes to these snippets of reviews, and they're highlighting certain sections. And when you look at these reviews, and you see 5 or 10 of them together and certain words are highlighted, you can find the trend of what people are talking about. Now, how Google is choosing to do that, but if you were looking at the Chicago hotel and you saw pubic hair bolded out as you're skimming through all the reviews, you're going to get a good perspective of that business. And so it's very, very clear that the internet is beyond anonymous. It's impossible, in my opinion. It's impossible nowadays for any business to survive without having an online reputation management system in place of some sort. Now, what does a business do when they get a negative review? But I got to ask the question, why does that business have a negative review? And I've had business owners tell me before in the past, well, I don't want my business on the internet because I don't want customers bitching about me. Well, how do you handle that? I mean, I just want to bang my head against the wall when I hear an entrepreneur that says that. If you're running a business that you already know and expecting people to complain about your business, you might be in the wrong business, or you might be making some of the wrong choices as an entrepreneur. I mean, business is so simple. A product or service is exchanged for money, and there's an expectation that the buyer is going to get from giving you their money and a level of expectation. So perhaps these businesses' expectations are too high. You know, I don't expect a gourmet burger when I go to McDonald's, so I'm not going to bitch and complain that if I choose to go to a fast food restaurant and I'm getting a low quality burger that tastes kind of bland and it's over salted and that they utilize hydrogenated oils and artificial sweeteners and genetically modified organisms in their products. I know this stuff, so I can't complain about it. My expectations are already there. But if a business is delivering service and consumers and customers are constantly complaining, maybe that business has got to do a better job. In other words, on the internet, businesses can run all day long, but they can't hide. It's that simple. And even for businesses that choose not to have a presence online, they still have that presence online. They're still there. People, uh, data amalgamators like Google and some of the sites that are out there that collect information from other websites are able to formulate their own page, and customers are able to leave reviews. So there's probably millions of business owners in the United States that have no idea that they're being talked about in negative ways in certain parts of the internet. They probably have no idea that they're cannibalizing sales. Well, if there was one thing I learned about moving to the United States is ignorance is not an excuse. Huh. I know darn well that the authorities in this country do not accept ignorance as an excuse. Business owners have got to be accountable. And if there's one thing I know that's important in any type of relationship, whether it's your wife, girlfriend, business partner, employee, friend, children, I have a firm belief in accountability. One thing I've learned in business is when I make a mistake in business and I'm proactive to my customer and I say, I have made a mistake, or my company has made a mistake, and I want to take responsibility for it. I want to take that mistake and I want to fix it for you. I can't tell you how many times I've had people say, just thank you. It's okay. It's fine. We're human beings. We make mistakes all the time. Fortunately, I'm not making mistakes that are costing my clients uh, significant amounts of money or exposure on the internet or anything of that nature. But the fact of the matter is it happens. And so accountability is extremely important in my company. And I make every attempt to be as accountable as I can to my customers. In other words, customers I do have are happy with me. And I think every business owner should have that philosophy. Of course, I'm biased. But you should not expect negative reviews. Period. So be careful for those snippets that are showing up into the reviews and what Google's really trying to do. In other words, they don't want shitty businesses in the United States to survive. They are making this world a better place. Granted, forcing us, but they are making the world a better place. All right. So speaking of reviews that are out there, and you could have reviews of your business or your clients' businesses on Google and Yelp or other sites that you may not even know about. But what about the good ones? I mean, we know that reviews or testimonials are a very popular tool in conversion and converting customers. So what do you do if you have a review on Google that's really good and you want to broadcast it onto your client's site? Can you do it? Is it legal? Are you violating, like, does Google own that review, and are you violating copyright information because they own the review? Well, this was a discussion that was recently brought up by Mike Blumenthal, and he posted in the Google Plus forum and got a response back from Google. And Google says point blank that we do not own that review. The person that left the review owns it. Now, hit pause for a second. Let's say you want to get a testimonial of a client. They told you, we're really happy with your services. Great, Mr. Customer. I'd like to put you on video, or I'd like to get a video testimonial of you. Would you mind? Well, you just asked the customer permission. They send you a handwritten note. You would call them up and say, hey, thanks for the note. Can I have your permission to show this to other prospects? So asking your customer for their permission to utilize certain content has been around. Well, in this situation, that's exactly how Google handled it. The content belongs to the person that left the review. Therefore, asking their permission is the appropriate strategy. And I just think that's the most ethical strategy too. So you can use the reviews legally without user permission, but you might get in trouble, or if the reviewer sees that and requests a takedown. The potential of litigation is very, very low, but it's not out of the question. So we'll just make it mandatory in my company to ask permission of the reviewer. It's that simple. The last thing I was going to talk about is Matt Cutts, and he just did a video. It's a funny video. It's just a floating head of him, and it's like a minute long. And Matt comes out and says, you know, just remember, visualize this, a floating head and no body. And he says, you know, it's important to talk about all the information on a website that's in the header, like the title tags and the descriptions and the keywords and H1 tags, header tags, and all that stuff. But the body is equally important. You sit there and you watch that video and you see him doing what he's doing, and it's weird to just see a floating head and not a body. And you realize, even when you're listening, that the body is just as important as the head. Now, on another note of that, I made a comment about that and thought, you know, again, here we are in 2014, Matthew Cutts, the head of search spam at Google Incorporated, has to tell us this on April 30th, 2014. God, he's basically saying, it's not just content. Content is not king. It's the quality of content. It's like, well, duh. You know, why does he have to tell the SEO community this? And he creates videos because he gets a lot of questions about certain things. So I have to assume that there's still a lot of SEOers out there that are just still manipulating websites to satisfy the needs of search engines and not really putting a lot of effort into creating quality marketing material. All right, guys, I'm just going to take 30 seconds here. I'll be right back and answer any questions that you might have.
Well, thanks for watching the Local Marketing Industry Update. We've got these things coming out every single week, so if you liked with what you heard, just click the button right above me right here to subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to get a little bit more, right over here, go check out localmarketingsource.com. We've got free reports that you can grab. You can even register for our free marketing course to get in and see the portal. Or just go ahead and follow us on some of the social channels. We'll be around. Until next time.